it's been, wow, it's been a long time. We're pushing up on almost going on a year, this like 4 or 5 months. Anyways, so news. Let's go over the news really quick. I guess who was the FBI who had a breach just recently. It's pretty funny, actually. The Hacker News reported that one of the analysts actually was carting information home and maintaining files, classified files at home for a number of years, which is absolutely ridiculous. They got away with that. But, you know, it happens. Also, Bitcoin and the crypto market took a serious dive over the past week. I think Bitcoin went from somewhere around 60 grand a coin to something like 30. And now I think it's back up to like 46, but it's like really struggling. I'm not really sure what's going on with that. There's a 27-year-old maker of one of the cryptocurrencies that predicted the cryptocurrency crash, which is pretty tight. 27 years old and has his own cryptocurrency. Pretty crazy. Anyways, so this is how it works. You know, we'll just talk about your story and your journey through cybersecurity, and talk about
basically talk about your story and how you got to where you are now. Do you want to turn your camera on? Oh, we lost him. He's gone. So if you just want to run us through your story, how you got to where you are now, basically.
Absolutely. So Tennisha Martin, I'm the executive director for Black Girls Hack. We started as an organization in September. We provide ethical hacking and training. I had been trying to get into cybersecurity for several years, and I was finding it, you know, very hard. I've got a couple of degrees, and as well as some certifications, and I was finding that there are a lot of barriers to entry, and there's a big gap between, you know, what you need to get into cybersecurity from, you know, what you learn in school. So I've been an IT consultant for the DoD for the past 15 years. And I am currently also an instructor for cybersecurity and a penetration tester. So I'm excited to be here. I'm just trying to help increase diversity, to see more women, and especially Black women, that are operating in the space. So
tell us a bit about Black Girls Hack. What motivated you to start that, and what kind of things do you provide? What kind of services do you provide?
So I was finding that it was like really hard for me to, you know, actually just get in my foot in the door, just to get interviews from, you know, when I was applying to jobs. So I started as an Instagram page in 2019 and was just putting out information as far as resources and, you know, training, things of that nature, study groups. And I found that there were actually a lot of people who were in the same position as I was, and just didn't have like the certifications or didn't have the educational background that I have. So, you know, I started putting on training classes to teach people ethical hacking. And I was doing that maybe 6 days a week, where I was just trying to teach them hands-on skills in different areas. So, you know, how do you do penetration testing? How do you do ethical hacking? How are you, you know, introduced to capture the flag? So we started up with some study groups for certifications. So we do like study groups for the Certified Ethical Hacker and Security Plus, and like EJPT. We're starting a Wireshark study group this week. And we're just trying to, you know, kind of get people into the door for cybersecurity. So we're helping them get the certifications. We're trying to get partnerships with a lot of industry training providers, so that, you know, we can get the folks training, so that we can kind of remove some of the financial barriers to entry for people. So we do, you know, I think 6 days a week, we're either doing some type of ethical hacking training, and it's all beginner friendly. So we're trying to, you know, get people the skills that they need, so that they can go into the interviews and have confidence and be able to describe what it is that they're doing and the tools that they use.
Mark, you back in?
Very cool. Yeah, just briefly, we'll see how long this lasts. Yeah, so tell me, Tennisha, how do you know the people at TechStrong? Because we were introduced from Charlene O'Hannon at TechStrong TV. What is your connection with TechStrong?
So we have a partnership with a company called Rangeforce that provides cloud-based security training. And they actually put us in touch with a number of PR people, including TechStrong. We interviewed with, I did an interview with TechStrong at some point. So they made the introduction, but it's absolutely been amazing as far as like them just connecting us with different people so that we can kind of get exposure for organization. We're a new organization, we're trying to, take over the world. So, I want to have a lot more women cybersecurity professionals and hackers in the world. So like they're helping us to get the exposure. So that's who I would, I guess, credit for us being connected.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. We're actually connected to Rangeforce as well. They're one of our people that sponsor our podcast. They're pretty awesome. Yeah, so I came into contact with Charlene O'Hannon, I think it was last year. I had an interview with them talking about SCADA, and then they introduced us. It's a very small world, and I don't think people really understand how small the cybersecurity world really is. It's very tiny. So it's really cool. Like the whole diversity thing, we try to promote that within the Haunted Hacker as well. We have several co-hosts and people in the community that are diverse, all the way from neurodiverse to culturally diverse to, I mean, you name it. We have a plethora of a wide range of people in the Haunted Hacker. But what you guys are doing is amazing. Being able to that ground and open that door. Not a whole lot of people do that. And up until, I think it was about probably 10 or 15 years ago, IT was traditionally a man's industry. Long beards, gray hair, attitudes, the whole thing. But it seems to be changing. It's changing quite a bit. The face of technology is getting a lot younger, except for Ryan's. But yeah, what you guys do is really awesome. So how do you help out? How do you help out the younger kids, like the primary school and intermediate school kids?
So we are actually in the process of developing a program called Black Kids Hack. So what we're trying to do is to try to, get to the root of the problem, the diversity problem. As you said, if you see conferences, you see professors, you see, basically most of the people who are operating in the cybersecurity space, they're older white guys, right? So, we've seen just in terms of like some of the, the research that, a lack of diversity in terms of like algorithms, in terms of the data that's collected and, the evidence that it's building up, it causes some bias when you don't have, more people in the room who are, different, So I think that the root of that problem is that, we need earlier exposure to cybersecurity, and I'm thinking like the K through 12. So we're developing the program to try to roll that out. We're going to try to start in DC public schools to provide them with exposure to the cybersecurity fundamentals and Linux and capture the flag and just cybersecurity in general, but specifically ethical hacking, because I think that just based on like the, how much of it's like a game, where it's just like, I have a goal and if you achieve that goal, then you can, get something great, like, root or, the top of the capture the flag ladder. And I think that kids will, look forward to that much in the same way, because, a lot of people like playing video games. So I think that's something for them to, that they would like doing if they got exposure to it earlier on.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And we're actually creating a certification type of like capture the flag type deal in tandem with Rangeforce actually. So it'd be really cool. That whole idea of gamification of cybersecurity is paramount. We actually have a guy coming on in June that he focuses on strictly gamification. But you're right. I think that kids, they're very unique in the way they look at things. And if you have bright colors and something active, bells and whistles and lights, they're on it. But I've seen kids walk into a classroom and be bored out of their mind, not pick up anything because they're reading from a book. And so I come from the same school as you. I think that kids need that hands-on and that game environment, that fun game environment to really learn. Because once you take the idea of learning out of the equation for a kid, they just think they're having fun. But really, secretly, they're learning something. So I learned that with kids at a young age. So yeah, I think that's really cool. So you're up in DC. What part of DC are you in?
I'm actually in Virginia. I'm from Northeast DC originally, though. So that's why
Cool.
that's my heart. You know how they say people don't move farther, real far from where they grew up. So I think I'm maybe 15 miles from where I grew up. But
yeah, I think I'm an exception to that rule. I'm not really sure where I belong, to be honest with you. But yeah, I was born in DC. I was born at Walter Reed Hospital. So I was a military brat. Dad worked at the NSA. And most of the kids in that area probably were the same. Then I spent some time in Virginia Beach. So the Virginia and DC area is beautiful, especially this time of year with the cherry blossoms and stuff. So what else do you like to do besides the BGH and obviously hacking? I got to see some of these hacking skills, Tennisha. I'm really interested in seeing this. So what else do you like to do? What are the kind of hobbies do you have? Is there anything that you focus on outside of cybersecurity that kind of helps you in cybersecurity?
So I really like capture the flag games. I just started actually playing last year. I was telling the folks in the my squad, which is like the Black Girls Hack members, that I'm really just a baby medium hacker. Like I'm not out here claiming to be like the most elite hacker in the world. So I'm steadily trying to learn myself. But I like playing games. I like like board games, poker games, any games really. Also, like I've taken on gardening. Like we have a couple of planters in my backyard because I find it is very relaxing, away from the day-to-day, hectic life. But that's pretty much what I do. And I watch a lot of bad TV.
Yeah, me too. Balance is really, really important when it comes to cybersecurity because it's real easy to over inundate yourself with work. I've been guilty of that many times and got burned out several times. And burnout's real. I don't think that enough emphasis is put on mental health and burnout for cybersecurity because it seems to be one of the industries that really suffers hard from it. I'm not really sure why that is.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I was just going to say, like, we talk so much about how to get people into cybersecurity, but, really, I think that there should also be some attention that's given to trying to keep people in the industry once you get in there, just because, like, it's very overwhelming. And at some points, it can also be unforgiving. I can't think of any other industry where, as soon as you mess up, then it's just like someone's trying to fire you. Like I think you guys were talking about the that breach last week where the gentleman in the Hill was talking about like you shouldn't hire somebody who has had a breach or something crazy like that. And I kind of feel like trial by fire is the best way to kind of learn from your mistakes and to kind of grow. So I just found that interesting.
Yeah, if we could just get law enforcement to agree that hiring reformed hackers is not a bad idea, the world would be a much better place. But yeah, like some of that stuff is really difficult. But I think you hit the nail right on the head when it comes to balance, and that goes deep into cybersecurity, not just your mental health and home and life, work balance. It also has to do with keeping that level head. I've lost so many friends in the industry due to burnout or life happens and they just don't know what to do with it because there's no time to stop. And that's one thing about cybersecurity is the need for it never stops. It's a 24/7 industry. There is no breaks. And I think it really hit hard. I think a couple of years ago when I was at a company in Houston, and it was Christmas Day, and I was working on Christmas Day simply because they had nobody else to do it. And I was doing all the cybersecurity for this company, and they told me, "Hey, cybersecurity is 24/7, so we need you to work on Christmas Day." So we make a lot of sacrifices in the industry as well, and ultimately our family and our health pays a price for it. But there's groups that have started to help people out with that, as well as in our Discord, we have a mental health section that people can go and talk to anybody, and it's all private, and we try to help people out. So what is your destination in your career? Where do you see yourself at the pinnacle of your career?
So my world domination plan ends with me being the CISO of a Fortune company. So that's where I'm aiming. So it's my hope that within the next, let's say, 5 to 7 years, that you guys, that's where you'll see me at.
That's awesome, and that's totally obtainable as well. Hard work and perseverance and dedication really pays off. And what you're doing, people see the advances you're making with, BGH and really helping out the community. And that goes a long way in this industry, a very long way. That CISO position is very obtainable when you're giving back and constantly trying to help people out. And that's what I found in this industry is that, if you're giving back, good things come your way. And I think that's the same with life in general. As long as you don't go around trying to destroy and you try to help, good things happen. So tell me about your favorite hack.
My favorite?
Your favorite, yeah.
I don't necessarily know that I have a favorite.
No?
No, I there's a lot of ones that I think are very interesting. I was talking to someone the other day about like the pipeline that just happened, and how like I feel like that is it's interesting because I feel like they really got off by paying $5 million, right? Like anytime that I see a hack, like I usually find them very interesting just based off of the fact of what they're able to accomplish and what security people I guess did not account for or address in like their risk mitigation strategies. So I honestly don't know if I have one. That's probably sad. I'll work on that though.
Okay. I gotta say the dark side attackers that hit that pipeline with that ransomware, $5 million is a little low. I think I would have shot a little bit higher, especially knowing the damage that they could have done. Billions of dollars probably. But yeah, again, I don't think they knew what network they were in until after they had deployed the ransomware. And then they were like, oh shit, we made a mistake. But again, the whole story is kind of shady to me. I don't know how much of it I buy. But time will tell. Ryan, do you have any questions for Tennisha?
I do actually. So you do mentoring as part of your day-to-day. What traits make a good mentor?
So I think that the best trait for me would be honesty. So, as much as possible, I want people to try to learn from the mistakes that the people who've come before them, have made. So for me, even though, I'm not that far into my hacking career, I still want to, as much as possible, teach people, the things that I've learned and help them to avoid kind of the mistakes that I've made. I think for women and especially Black women, one of the biggest areas that, we kind of get hit over the head is in terms of salary. So, that's why I said I feel like honesty is important because, people like if you get a smaller salary earlier in your career, it's hard to make up that ground as you go along, especially, for women. So I that's what I think is probably the best, just being willing to share, the mistakes that you made, the failures, and then how you've grown from them.
So what's the first piece of advice you would give?
I would say to never stop learning, to talk to people about the salary before you take it. And honestly, I always tell my mentees to talk to specifically white men. And the reason being is that if you look at the history of cybersecurity, these are the people who have been in the industry for the longest. These are the people you see, that are in the top echelons of cybersecurity, right? So they can let you know, whether or not the salary that you're being offered is reasonable given what it is you're supposed to be doing. I think I mentioned earlier, I'm from Northeast DC. So like, I always tell people that like, I'm a quarter hood. And, when I got my first job out of the gate, I was making like, I think it was 55,000 a year. And I was like, this is dumb money. Like, I don't know anybody who's making this much money. And like, I was like, yes, I accept. There was no negotiation. And then I actually talked to one of my friends who had graduated from the same program that I did. And she, joined the same company, was doing the same thing. And her salary was actually, $15,000 more than mine, doing the same with the same exact background. I went to Carnegie Mellon and then Johns Hopkins, and she had gone to Berkeley and Carnegie Mellon. So, we had the same background, same type of caliber of schools. And, she literally got, 15,000 more because she knew her worth. So for me, I tell people, like, find an older white man and ask them, like, how much money should I be making? What is a fair salary for this position? Or find someone who's actually in the field, because I think Glassdoor is like gaslighting people, and, Indeed, and, the average salaries that you see out there are not necessarily the average salaries.
Cool.
Yeah, the salaries they post is ridiculous. I think there was one for a SOC analyst. It was like $40,000, and I thought, who in their right mind is going to take a job for $40,000 as a SOC analyst? There's no way. I think my first job in the commercial world was somewhere close to what you were making. And again, it was because I was moving across the country, and it was like, panic. What do I do? I don't know my worth. Just left the military. I did DoD contracting. It was like, I have no idea what I'm worth on the outside. And I think a lot of people go into the industry with that same mindset, just looking for a job, period. But I always tell people too that when you go into an interview, it's your interview for the company as well as is for them to interview you. It's really important to ask questions and to really dig deep and, make a list of questions that you can take into the interview with you. But yeah, like I totally see where you're coming from. So what you guys are doing with GBH, I would love to get involved or help support you guys any way I can. And I'm sure Ryan would mirror that sentiment as well. Seeing we have the same ties and stuff, but I totally believe in your mission. I think that's really awesome. Maybe we can get rid of Ryan and do something else. Have another co-host or something. Kidding. So I'm going to open this up to the audience.
We got a question. This is from Gabriel Ravensek. Are you going to expand tutoring into other areas of security? Example, malware analysis, incident response, and so on.
So our goal right now is to expand it into every area of cybersecurity. So as I said, when I started Black Girls Hack, like I was just basically teaching 6 days a week. So I'm limited literally to teaching the things that I know, right? So if I, knew malware analysis, or if I knew those things, then I would definitely be teaching them. So, that's why we're always asking for volunteers, because I don't want the squad to be limited by my knowledge. I'm definitely trying to learn more things every day, right? But like I'm more interested in the offensive security side of things. And I, as much as I learn, I'm going to try to teach them so that, they, like I said, can know what I know and be able to take over the world much quicker than it'll take me. So, if anybody out there is interested in, teaching whatever it is that whether that's workshops or whatever the case may be, I'd definitely be down to teach those things. But like I said, until then, I can just teach what I know. But I would definitely love to provide exposure to a lot of different areas of cybersecurity, because I think, it's what needs to be done in the future. We need to see more people.
And how does someone become involved in that? Do they just reach out to you, or?
Yep. So blackgirlshack.org/volunteer. Literally anybody can join the organization. We don't have any like discrimination as far as like, in order to be involved with us. Like I tell people, like, if you want to come hack with us, please do. We're literally doing something, I want to say 6 days a week. So anyone is welcome to volunteer with us or to mentor if they want to, provide mentoring to the next generation of cyber professionals or provide workshops. Like we definitely, would love to have people to come out and help. So our website's blackgirlshack.org. And like we welcome everyone.
That's awesome. I would definitely like to hang out and do some hacking. I'd have to do it remote though, because DC is a little bit too close for comfort for me. Maybe one day, we'll see. So I'm going to open this up to everybody online and see, do you guys have any questions for her? Tennisha, do you have any questions for me or Ryan?
We've got another one here. Have you had anything to do with the Pico CTF?
Yes, yes. We actually, so every Saturday we have a intro to capture the flag. I swear that must be one of the squad in their plug-in questions. Every Saturday we have a intro to capture the flag, which is geared towards beginners. So we look at a lot of different capture the flag platform. So today we actually did Pico Capture the Flag, which I'm always down to promote because I'm an alumna of Carnegie Mellon University. So we do that every Saturday. It'll either be in Pico Capture the Flag or one of the other capture the flag type things. Sometimes we even do Try Hack Me, but it's to introduce people to like more of the gaming aspect of cybersecurity because you get so much exposure into different areas. And I think it's a great way to let people know, you know, what to expect once you get out into the cybersecurity world.
Cool.
That's awesome.
Let's see what else we got here. Nothing from there. Okay, so tell me about being in the top 15% of the National Cyber League Fall 2020. What's that all about?
So I actually, for the first time in the fall of 2020, you know, played in the National Cyber League. It was the first time I had ever done a capture the flag competition ever. So I jumped in there and, you know, I did pretty well. So like I came in the top 15% and I was really proud of that. So I tell people all the time, like one of my friends, she goes by the name Root, and she was like the #1 person on I want to say it was Hack the Box in November of last year. And I told her that if I made it to the top of the Hack the Box or the Try Hack Me, that it would stay in my LinkedIn profile forever and always. So, so that's what that's about. I did pretty well. It was my first time. I had never, you know, done any of those before. I have a few master's degrees, and in none of those did we ever have to touch an Nmap. You know, there was no hands-on, there was no like actual tools that were actually being used outside of like digital forensics. I think we did some in case at some point, but there was no hands-on tools. So I kind of like, you know, have worked to teach myself as much as I can. And then I want to share that knowledge as much as possible with, you know, the next generation of people who are trying to get into cybersecurity.
Did you say that you have a couple master's degrees?
I do. I actually have, I think it's 5 at this point.
How many, sorry?
I said I have 5.
What?
All right. Well,
how does one have 5 master's degrees?
Well, so my first one,
Lord.
like I intended to get, so it was in healthcare policy and management because my plan was to go to medical school and save the world through healthcare. And I volunteered as an EMT and realized that I have an adversity to blood, which is going to be a really big problem if you're going to be an emergency medicine physician. So at the time, I told you like my friend and I both got hired at the same job, and it was in healthcare IT. And my company said that my healthcare master's didn't mean, can I curse?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
They said that my healthcare master's didn't mean shit in their IT field. So I went and got another master's in just information and telecommunication systems. And then from there, like I just went and did cybersecurity and digital forensics. And then I did an MBA because, like, again, my goal is to be the chief information security officer. So I'm trying to take over the world.
I can tell.
I can see that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I have no degrees. Yeah, it's pretty bad. But I give you kudos for being able to knock out 5 master's degrees. That's some serious commitment. That's unreal commitment. Really cool though. I think you were probably the most educated we've had on the show as far as level of degrees go.
Look, I'm going to put it in my LinkedIn bio.
No, you're not. Very cool though. That's awesome. I tried to take some online courses at Stanford. I guess it's continued learning, cybersecurity, computer science school. I took 1 semester and dropped it because it was super boring and I couldn't concentrate. School is definitely for some people and definitely not for some people. I don't belong in school for sure. But I encourage people who are trying to get into cybersecurity to get as much training and knowledge as they can in school, because when you go to get your first job, and you try to get entry level job, and you're required to have 5 years experience and umpteen degrees. It's tough. It's really tough. Those who don't have degrees or certifications really have to prove their worth hands-on and have something to walk into the interview with. I try to go ahead.
I was going to say, so how would you say that you've gotten to where you are? Because I took a look at your LinkedIn profile earlier today, and I saw that, you know, despite the fact that half of it's redacted, that you've clearly had a very successful, you know, career in the ethical hacking space, penetration testing. So how would you say, you know, like in the absence of degrees, that you have gotten to where you're at today? And, you know, how could other people replicate that success? Because I'm always trying to, you know, let people know that there are different ways. There's no one correct way to get into cybersecurity. There's no one correct way to succeed. So what would you say that the keys to your success?
I think the keys of my success is being in the right place at the right time, most of the time. That and making mistakes, but capitalizing on those mistakes. You know, I made some bad decisions early on that got me into a lot of trouble. But those mistakes helped me get the mindset to where I need to be, where I'm at right now. Really, for me, it was more when I got my first job, it was mainly because of the military. The military really helped me get that I guess, trust level. You know, when you walk into a business and you tell them you're a veteran and you served during conflict, then they're pretty apt to hire you. But with the abilities that I had and the hacking that I did back then, we didn't have an ethical hacking industry. There was no CEH, there was no training course, there was no degree for it. We were just hackers, and eventually it became a job, and we were all shocked. We were like, wait, we're going to get paid for this? That's fucking awesome. A lot of this came from the time when BBSs were popular. Also, you know, the very beginnings of the internet and AOL and ICQ and all those good things. There was no cybersecurity field. There was no ethical hacking. So what I tell people now is don't stop with what you got into the industry with. Don't stop with ethical hacking. Like some of the stuff I do in the lab, like I'm venturing into cryptocurrency right now, just screwing around with crypto mining. There's so many things to do and so many things to try and experience in cybersecurity and in technology in general. Like you said, there's plenty of routes to go. It doesn't have to be a degree. If you want to make the big bucks, 5 master's degrees will do it. But yeah, like nobody should expect that off the bat. So I really focus my time on trying to help people understand what it's like getting into the industry. And I try to work with the industry to kind of lower some of those wants or some of those ideal must-haves to make it easier for everybody to get into the industry and cooperate and get along. Yeah, like you're totally right. There's multiple ways into it. And I think that's the first question someone's actually asked me about the way that I get into it and my route. It's really cool. So if there was one thing that you could take away from your job that you wouldn't have to do any longer and you'd be happy about it, what would it be?
Going into the office. So for me, I've absolutely loved, you know, this, you know, no one's expectations of me coming in. I think that most of the things we can, as you can see from, you know, the past, whatever this has been like 18 months, has shown that, you know, much of our society can still operate working remotely. You know, so I've seen a lot of articles recently about people saying, oh, well, you know, the amount of productivity of people who are, you know, at work versus not at work. And so for me, that would literally be the thing that I would stop doing. As far as like the actual day-to-day tasks, like I actually don't mind any of the things that I'm doing. I really enjoy the work that I do. You know, I just want to get to the point where I can honestly hack 100% of the time. Because like I like it. So
and it's doable.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's doable. So like I said, that's why I'm trying to get my skills up. I'm trying to be on like Hack the Box and try hack me every day so I can try to increase my skills, not just for me, but for the next generation of people that I'm trying to, you know, teach week after week so that they can get there as well. Because, you know, there's no reason why, you know, we can't all take over the world. They say that there's like, you know, at least was it 500,000 cybersecurity jobs that are open in the United States, and I think there's millions, worldwide. So, we clearly need cybersecurity professionals. They say there's no unemployment for cybersecurity professionals. So, like, I want to see more people taking those jobs.
Yeah, I think the numbers and the way that they coin that is a little misleading. We have a lot of people without jobs, yes, for sure. But the reason why they're without jobs is the people that are coming out of school and the people that are fresh to the industry aren't getting jobs because the requirements are ridiculous. Like, I was looking at one entry-level job and they wanted 5 years experience with this, and they wanted like 2 or 3 certifications. And it's like, who coming out of college or in college has that kind of money or that amount of time to hand to a company? It's just the shortage gap, the skills gap, and all that, nonsense that the industry spits out, it all has to do with HR and hiring policies, I think. A lot of people are promoting people in mid-level management to executive level. And instead of raising somebody from an analyst level or entry level to a medium or mid-range, they hire from outside. And that kills the ability for all these newcomers into the industry. So I'm really like, that's one of my pushes this year, is to be more vocal about the way we hire in the industry, because it's not right. And some of the interviews that, go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, like, that is my soapbox of choice. I feel like there is such a big gap between, what is being taught in the school system and what is being expected, for entry level positions within cybersecurity. And I feel like a lot of that gap is artificial. You don't need 5 years of experience in a CISSP in order to be able to get into cybersecurity. A lot of gatekeeping type things, such as like the fact that in order to get a CISSP that you need a sponsor, right? So, who are the sponsors in cybersecurity? Who are the people who already have those? Most of the people who have a CISSP are older white men, right? So it's like, if you've got to find somebody to be able to sponsor you in order for you to get into, the club, it's like that's just another barrier to entry, in addition to the fact that the certifications are, hundreds if not thousands of dollars, and you're not being taught in school what you need in order to join the workforce. That's the whole point of going to school. If you're not going to get what you need to work, then what is the point? So I will die on this this soapbox if I have to, but I definitely think that there needs to be some work to try to bridge that gap. And that's kind of what we're trying to do, is to try to get people the hands-on skills that they need so that they can kind of go from what's being taught in the education system and what is required for jobs. I actually highlight as a adjunct professor, and I'm trying to, as much as possible, teach, the next generation of cyber professionals, like, those hands-on skills, so that they won't be able to say, hey, I've got, degrees and I've never touched Nmap, or I've never, actually touched any tools that jobs are going to require that I'd be able to use in order to start working.
Right. I think that's super important. A whole lot is being taught in schools. When you look at the younger kids and internet and cybersecurity, and even just, teaching them how to safely, exist on the internet, does not exist in schools that much. I think I've only seen a couple of schools that actually teach internet safety to kids. It's pretty sad, but yeah, I think that's a good point. Ryan, do you have any more questions for Tennisha?
That's about it for me for today, mate.
Cool. Well, Tennisha, we appreciate you coming on the show. And if there is anything that we can do as a community to help you or help your group, we would absolutely love to be involved.
Definitely.
Just let us know what we can. Let us know what we can do. Drop into Discord. We'll set up a channel in the Discord for you. But definitely, we would definitely like to see some kind of partnership and help you guys out any way we can.
That would be amazing.
Awesome. If you have any questions for us, me or Ryan, if we cut the show.
I was just going to ask Ryan the same question about how he got to where, where he's at. I realize you're in like an entire different, continent. So I'm just curious how you got to where you're at. Do you have an educational background, or like how did you get to where you're at? I see you're doing big things also.
My story is very, very different to Mike's. I'm new. I'm very new to the industry. Came in at about June last year and just have been learning all I can as fast as I can. I've got a little bit of a history in cybersecurity or cyber insecurity, whichever way you want to think about it. But yeah, just they were offering free training over here, so I took that, and then this whole skills gap thing. There was like 18,000 of us coming out with the same qualification, so I just took it on myself to learn as much as I could from anywhere I could. Basically, ran into this miscreant, and yeah, here from there, I've just been through Haunted Hacker. I've just been learning. Just any facet of cybersecurity that you want to know, there's basically an option for in our little crew. So, which is good for someone like me who just likes to grab a topic and run with it. So, yeah, and I've just been lucky, just making good connections, helping people. Helping people's been the main thing, really. It's through helping others out that I actually got this first position I've got now. So, yeah.
So it pays to be a good person in cybersecurity.
Yeah, I was about to say, I'll see you at the top.
Yeah. You know what? But it's three things, man: tenacity, curiosity, and integrity. That's all you need.
Passion. You have to have passion.
That's it, man.
Yeah, I think you have to never stop learning also, because cybersecurity is one of those things that if you just learn, one thing, you're not going to just be able to keep up with the pace that things are expanding and growing, like even in that one area. So
I did a talk in Europe about a haunted house, right? So everything in your house that you can possibly hack. Dude, it's amazing how much technology comes out every day. Like I was trying to write that talk and I was like looking at one device and I was like, oh shit, they have a new version of this and it has all these added extra pieces for eavesdropping. That's awesome.
Have you seen this, the new Amazon Sidewalk thing that's going live?
Yeah.
Oh, the mesh. Wow.
Yep. Have you seen the Amazon Echo that has the video screen for video calling?
No. But that's going to be linked to everything from the 8th.
Yes. I love it. Love it.
Yeah, I tell people all the time that IoT is going to be one of the biggest areas moving in the forward, just because there's so many freaking devices and there's not really like a lot of, I guess standards as far as like how they should be interconnected. And
zero.
So it's just going to be interesting moving forward, because I think that's going to be like the next, big thing that, 5 years from now, we're talking about like, how do we ever not have conversations about IoT security? The same way that people have been talking about like the critical infrastructure and how, we need to protect it or else you're going to cut off all of the oil from the Southeast. We'll be having a conversation about how, none of the devices and the hospitals or any of the places work because, someone's hacked the IoT infrastructure. So I think that'll be interesting moving forward.
Speaking of which, they had an article today where there were 6 medical companies or hospitals in the U.S. that was hit with ransomware and had to be shut down. It was crazy. So IoT and stuff like that is definitely a threat. So I found out in 2016 that surveillance cameras, even though they do video, have high bandwidth. So if you break into, I don't know, let's say 50,000 of them, you can create a really nice sized denial of service against really anybody, because that's a lot of bandwidth. But IoT is one of those things where, and it's one of those things.
Things like Showdown, you go to a GitHub right now, and you're off and racing. Like,
yep, totally.
Yeah, I see an IoT botnet in our future.
Yeah, well, there already is. So Mariah botnet. We Mariah botnet. They smashed a lot of people with Mariah botnet through security cameras. Compromised a bunch of security cameras that had
1.2 terabytes a second. 1.2 terabytes a second DDoS.
Yeah, man, big. And what's funny is IoT and some of those technology companies have no kind of security in their product at all. I mean, things that are security products, like a security camera with no security. How is that possible? But yeah, it's one of those things that I I complain about it all the time because it's like companies, they don't care about security. They just want to make sure it works. If it shows a video on a screen, good to go. Who gives a shit about security?
Well, I mean, I think that they make the trade-off between like, finding a lightweight cryptographic solution to be able to, kind of like operate that can still keep the kind of speed that we come to expect. We don't want to wait for anything, and I think that video is probably like our most like laggy type of technology, as far as just making sure that it's there reliably. And it really just comes down to, I lost my whole train of thought. Sorry.
So what do you think?
And that goes back to voice over IP, right?
No,
it goes back to voice over IP, because voice over IP has zero security. And when they enable encryption on that protocol, it degrades the quality of service by like 25 to 40%. So from about 2010 until 2016, I had a heyday with Cisco, because nobody with Cisco enabled security modules on the call manager. So it was like, man, open season. I was eavesdropping on everybody. What were you gonna say, Ryan?
I was just gonna go back to the Amazon thing that's launching, Amazon Sidewalk. What do you think the security implications are going to be of that, of the mesh, basically the Bluetooth mesh that's happening, all those devices linking together? Like to me, it sounds like a security cluster,
It's chaos. I can tell you firsthand, it's going to be chaos, because I got an Amazon Echo Dot just to test, right? And just mess with and see how, the functionality, because I'd never had one before, never wanted one. So I put it in, I connect it to plugs that go into the wall sockets, lamps, lights, TVs, computers, my Kindle Fire. But what's funny is when that one main device gets compromised, shit goes haywire on everything. Yeah. You get the red ring on the Amazon Echo, can't connect to shit. Like, it just shuts everything down. Yeah. But once you get into like the Dot, or, some of the other stuff, and like learning some of the skills that you can put into the Alexa app. Yeah. Like, so I found one for Nmap. There's an Nmap skill for it. So when I found that, I was like, so it has Nmap, and someone built that. I'm going to build in Metasploit. So I'm going to use their module to do my footprint, and then use my module to exploit the Alexa. So that's still in the works, but that whole connect, smart home, smart city, it's the biggest mistake, because those things have been around for so long. When you look at, let's say, take for instance, like the lights, like the green lights and red lights in the city, right? That shit's been there forever. It's not new technology. So when you throw the internet on top of it, that technology goes, oh shit, what do I do here? And that old technology can't really match up with the new shit. And that's why they're having such a hard time with critical infrastructure, because it's so old. And to revamp that shit, millions of dollars, billions of dollars. But the sidewalk, that's gonna be a mess, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll really be interesting, like how they put that together, because just from a security perspective, you're looking at so many different things that are being interfaced into it, and like I really want to see what Nmap on an Amazon looks like. I think that's like super cool, so I'm going to check that out. But I was just saying, like, that a lot of times people make the trade-off between speed and security. Right. And doing that, how many of our IoT devices are going to be, exposed, especially when they're, connected to like a single source, like a sidewalk or something like that. We talk about zero trust, but at the same time, we're providing a lot of access to, Amazon and the people of the world who are trying to put these things out there for convenience.
Well, here's the key, right? So when you talk about people giving up their security and just for something like Amazon or whatever, look at how many people put security cameras in their bedroom. Man. Now, to me, that is, you're trying to add security to your environment, which kudos, great, but you're putting it into your bedroom. So, I mean, that's like the most insecure place for anything, right? I wouldn't want that in my bedroom. But you'd be surprised the crazy stuff people do with technology. And it's like, they're all worried about privacy, but yet, like you say, on Amazon, when you fire up Alexa, you have your credit card, you have your email accounts, you have Amazon accounts, address, everything is in that app. So if I can, if they can compromise that app, they can get pretty much your whole life.
Yeah.
So
yeah, some interesting time coming up, man.
Yeah. I think the Matrix isn't too far away. I think eventually the machines are going to outnumber us as if they don't already. And,
John Connor doesn't stand a chance, mate.
Right. We have Starlink. The next thing we get is Skynet. So anyways, Tennisha, I want to thank you again for coming on to the show and spending some time with us. And you're welcome anytime. It's every Saturday, and the Discord is open all the time. So,
all right. Well, I appreciate you guys for having me. This has been a fun talk.
Absolutely, and I would like to have you back with maybe one of your mentees, and talk about BGH again and get their point of view from a kid's point of view. I think that would be awesome. Anyways, have a good weekend, and thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon. Later, Ryan.
See you guys.
Bye, guys.
Take care.
Yeah.